Kanako holds the kiss for some time before pulling away, blushing still on her face. Rowan's expression doesn't shift from the complete and utter shock. Martlet wanders onto the scene. Martlet dashes off screen. Kanako lines up behind Rowan, and you're given the freedom to explore again. Now, I know some people may not be a fan of a relationship like this in this hypothetical game, and I know that. So, if you had picked the option to just stay silent, the relationship wouldn't happen at all. It's completely optional. But just the same, come on, you're not going to let Kanako be turned down like that, are you? Anyway, let's get back to exploring the town. If you had done Clove's quest in the previous chapter, you would find them sitting beneath the sakura tree, interacting with them. While leaving the cornfield, you'll notice an empty pole where the Scarecrow used to be. Interacting with it. Leaving the cornfield and interacting with the barn. Interacting with the, now empty, microfrogget log. Heading south, you can approach the door to the Sunnyside house. Interacting with it, you can go in. Interacting with Christina in the kitchen. Interacting with the couch. Interacting with the fireplace TV combo. Heading upstairs, you reach a hall with 3 doors and a single small stand. On the stand is a very familiar picture. trying to enter the master bedroom. Interacting with the second door, you enter Starlo's room. Interacting with his wardrobe, interacting with Starlo's bed, interacting with the lava lamp, interacting with the window, you can flip the blinds, interacting with the desk in the room, leaving Starlo's room, you can go to the last room in the hall, being Orion's, interacting with his wardrobe, inspecting the mountain of clothes, interacting with the messy bed, interacting with the blinds on his window, interacting with Orion's desk, leaving Sunnyside Farm property and heading west to the intersection and heading north to the police station. Inside, you'll find Sheriff Starlo, talking to an unknown domino-headed figure. Dominic begins to leave the room. As they do, Rowan turns to face them, with a very familiar expression on their face. Talking with Starlo after that, leaving the police station and heading northeast to the apartments. If you had given the 20G to Mo, you'll find him outside with a brand new lemonade stand set up. drinking the lemonade, heading north of the apartments, you reach Danza, interacting with the door, heading west from Danza, you'll reach Dinah's. Entering the restaurant, you'll find Dinah at the waiter's island. Kaneko walks over to Dinah and hands her something. Going around the restaurant, you can talk to some of the monsters. At one of the booths, you'll find this monster from yesterday. In front of the Mew Mew's Love Blaster arcade machine, you'll find the gamer kid from the diner in Undertale Yellow. Heading to the bar, you can interact with 3 familiar monsters. Leaving Dinah's and heading southwest to Martlet's house, you'll find Martlet outside, working on a project. If you still had the 20G from Chapter 1, heading south from Martlet's house, you reach Dalv's house, with no Dalv in the front yard. Knocking on the door, heading through the gates, and to the south side of Eastville, you'll find there isn't much to do. The graveyard is locked, so you can't go to Gage's grave. But heading to Gage's apartment at the far end of the series of apartments, you can interact with the door. Entering the apartment, you'll find some things to interact with. Interacting with the couch, interacting with the few pictures left on the wall, heading into the kitchen, you'll find the only piece of furniture left is a fridge. Interacting with it, Leaving the kitchen and heading up to the bedroom, you'll find it split into two sides. One side for Gage, and the other for Rowan. Rowan's side is more decked out, colorful, and playful, while Gage's is simple, barren, and slightly worn. Interacting with the Western Town toy set on the floor, interacting with Rowan's bed, Kaneko helps Rowan up from their collapsed bed. Going to inspect Gage's old bed, leaving the old apartment and heading to the angel statue. Leaving the south side of Eastville and northeast of Dalv's house, you'll reach the library. Entering the library, you'll find Soroba inside. Upon leaving the library, heading south to the town hall, you can talk to Rosa. Rosa once again lays her head on the desk. Leaving the town hall and heading back to the Ketsukane house, there isn't anything new to interact with here, so, approaching the basement door, Weifel hovers above what appears to be a keyboard, Vines coming beneath his cloak, typing away at the keyboard. Weifel takes notice of Rowan in the room. Kaneko walks over and hugs Weifel. After a few more seconds, Weifel returns the hug. Kaneko releases the flower boy. As the three settle, Sir Admin walks into the room. Admin then leaves the room. With that, the two line up behind Rowan, and we can walk around freely again. Interacting with the large terminal, leaving the room, you can now read some of these logs at some of the terminals throughout the tower. Talking to admin inside the tower. Leaving the tower, you can now once again explore an updated Kitsen. Heading east, you can enter Gramps' shop. Leaving Gramps' shop and heading northeast to what was previously the jail, you'll find a giant neon heart on top of it. Mew Mew hovers into her new home. Walking in, you'll find the entire cell has been redecorated to fit the needs of Mew Mew, including bells, a scratching post, a bed, and a mannequin that looks completely identical to Mew Mew, holding her staff. Heading east from the jail, you'll reach the court, where, upon entering, you find Councel standing beside two desks. In front of him, a papier-mâché judge. Without another word, Weifel walks out of the room, and Kaneko follows. Interacting with Councel at this point, leaving the courtroom, you'll find Weifel and Kaneko in the middle of a conversation. The two take notice of Rowan. Before Rowan answers, Councel begins to leave the courtroom. The Hydra takes notice of Weifel, who's staring them down. There's another odd pause before Councel turns and quietly walks away. Heading back up to the courthouse, you'll find the prosecutor just outside. Leaving the courthouse and heading north, you return to the dojo. Once again, you'll find a new battle challenge available, this time being a refight against the orb larcenists. Winning this battle earns you a weapon for Weifel that, when you get perfect timing in your attack, you'll regain some bonus tension points. Going and talking to Ezerath in the dojo, heading back south of the dojo and back to what was once the jail but now Mew Mew's home, you'll find both Mew Mew and Councel pawing at a giant ball of yarn. Interacting with the two, Interacting with them again. Heading past Gramps' shop and back to the bakery, you can talk to Axis in his shop again. While at Axis's shop, you can, once again, buy the face cookies, and now you can try them on Weifel. Here are Weifel's reactions to each cookie. Leaving Axis's shop and heading to Worm's statue, you'll find a bunch of darkners gathered around it, taking pictures of it. Leaving the statue and heading into the music shop, you'll find a single orb larcenist busting a move on the dance floor. Leaving the music shop and heading to the scrapyard, you'll find Warden now heading the project. Talking to him, Leaving the scrapyard, if you had built the bank, you would find Silas outside of it, sadly sitting down. However, if you had built a casino instead, stepping inside, you'll find a few darkners playing the slots, and at the end of the room, Silas will be tending the bar. Beside it, Dev will be standing. Interacting with Silas at the bar, Leaving the casino, you are now left with nothing to do in Kitson. So, trying to head for the exit, Rowan reaches for the barn doors before Starlo enters the scene. Starlo approaches the barn doors and opens them. Starlo takes a step forward and immediately falls into the darkness. The two land in the middle of what appears to be overgrown ruins of some variety. Stained glass imagery is ordained along the torn walls. Sprouting from the vines that are growing along the barren walls appears to be corn, strangely enough. Starlo, laying on the ground, gets on his knees and rises. He looks down at his new outfit for a brief moment. The party begins to explore the ruins of the Dark World. Along the path, some heads of corn will pop, launching popcorn projectiles to dodge. At some point, Weifel will stop as you're dodging. Upon reaching the end of the obstacles, Weifel will reunite with the party, with a handful of popcorn. Kaneko walks over to Weifel. Starlo walks over and takes the popcorn, then begins eating it himself. Further along the ruins, we reach a fork in the road, where a Darkner is waiting. As the party approaches the fork, the Darkner lifts his hands in a dramatic fashion. Shurkle dramatically points, and the camera pans down to reveal a wooden plank. From here, you can roam around the scene, inspecting the wooden plank Shercole called out earlier. From here, you need to follow a path along the ruins that has a trail of popcorn. As you begin this manhunt, following the popcorn trail leads you back to the room where you started, where, returning to Shercole, you find him with a bag of popcorn, munching away. The party can now progress. Leaving the ruins, the party steps out onto a cliff edge, overlooking the entire Dark World. To the west is a golden ordained palace, marked by the icon of the sun. To the east, a twisted, dark tower, seemingly eternally surrounded by a dark cloud. Between the two structures is a long, massive field of corn, with smoke billowing across it at random points. In the distance is a city of green and blue, seemingly absent from the chaos ahead. As the party stares across the world, Weifel takes off his hat and inspects it. Weifel looks out to the world and tosses the hat to the wind. It floats off in the distance and eventually disappears from sight. The party continues, crossing the cliffside until a figure suddenly drops from the sky, entirely decked out in armor. Weifel draws his pen. Orion pulls back his bow and fires a beam of light at Starlo. The beam wraps around him and ties him up. Suddenly, two old yellow machines drop from the sky as well. You may notice something oddly similar about the robots Orion summoned, but it's not important, I don't think. Orion will fire his bow at Rowan's soul, creating star-like projectiles to dodge. Trying to reason with Orion in the act menu causes After every few turns, Orion will pull back the string of his bow and fire another bright beam at one of the party members, tying them up. When a party member is tied up, they are essentially downed, unable to do anything in their turn, and nothing can free them. It starts with Whitefoot. Then Kaneko. Then finally Rowan. And as Rowan falls, the battle ends. The janky robots pick up the party and walk off screen. The world fades back into a well-decorated castle. Golden imagery of corn and the sun is littered everywhere. Orion and the robots lead the party into a throne room where, on the throne, is Solomon, dressed in king's clothing. The robots place the party in front of the king. Suddenly, the floor under the party drops, as does the party. As that conversation comes to an end, a robed figure floats by the jail cell. They stop in front of it and turn to the party. The figure's robe begins to flutter. A great gust of wind picks up. The robe rises where the hands would be. And then, the figure takes out a key and unlocks the cell. With the cell door open, the party steps out. The figure floats away. The party is now free to explore the palace prison. Along the way, you'll run into a few NPCs, all fashioned after farming tools in the light world. Talking to them, you'll also run into this strange character in the jail. Talking to them, after exploring enough, you'll make your way back up to the main floor, where, just beside the stairs to the jail where you came from, you'll find a locked door. Interacting with it, as you roam the halls of the palace, you'll occasionally run into enemies that are ridiculously hard to beat. And thus, the second optional stealth segment is born. The goal here is to simply not get in as many fights as possible, as getting caught immediately makes it the enemy's turn, which, although you can evade the attacks if you're skilled enough, getting hit is very punishing. As you evade the difficult enemies in the area, at one point, Waifu will stop to admire a golden symbol of the sun on the wall. Interacting with him, eventually, after avoiding enough enemies, you'll reach the palace gates. Passing through, you escape the palace. As they enter the field of corn, they turn back to see the fountain freely flowing from the apex of the palace. The party enters the cornfield, a battlefield littered with scorch marks and kernels. The path of this area is tight and twisty, almost maze-like. You'll encounter robot soldiers as enemies in this area, being easier to beat than the guards in the palace. Since this is the first real area where you can use Starlo as your party member, allow me to explain how he works. His stats are very much like Rowan's, being middle of the road in terms of HP, defense, and attack. However, his weapon is very different. When attacking, you can choose different kinds of lashes to do with the lasso. You can whip, which deals more damage. You can swing, which has less damage but attacks all enemies. Or you can lasso, which doesn't deal any damage but has a chance to tie up an enemy similar to Dinah's Snake's Gaze ability, paralyzing them. As well to it, his magics are actually buffs that can raise either defense or speed for a single party member. Moving on from Starlo, any other Darkners in the area, aside from enemies, are knightly soldiers, seemingly exhausted by the overwhelming forces. Interacting with these characters, Along the path, bombs will be dropped from the sky, creating explosion effects that you need to avoid as overworld bullets. The radius of these explosions being indicated by burn marks on the ground. Once you reach a certain point in the path, something shines in the ground. Weifel excitedly dashes over to the object. After enough traversal, we reach the trenches. Here, you'll find a shop, completely clean from any mud or damage caused by the war. Entering the shop, Leaving Corey's shop and exploring the trenches some more, you'll run into Shirkhole again, and, once again, without the player's consent, he approaches the party. Leaving the trenches and heading east, you'll begin to enter a dark forest. The party continues into the courtyard of the tower. Standing in front of the door to the tower is a lifeless Scarecrow, wearing a familiar green hat. The Scarecrow picks its head up. Sero will use several wind-based attacks and magics to attack the player, along with the occasional sound-based attack from a shriek. Sero has one unique skill too, having a special attack that locks onto one party member that, if the player can't dodge, will scare that party member, paralyzing them for a turn. The goal of the fight is to simply wait out the dialogue, which is as follows. Sero tries to move to leave his post, buried in the ground, but it only slightly shakes. The party moves past Sero and into the tower. Entering the tower, the party almost immediately runs into Dalv, who is found sweeping the floor. A door opens, and the floating figure of what now can be assumed as Pops floats in. Pops takes notice of the party. At that, Dalf begins to follow Pops through the door he came through. The party is now allowed to explore Dalf's tower. While exploring, you can run into a lone Noetz. As you approach them, Heading up a staircase, the cast enters a large, messy room. Pops hovers over a map of the Dark World. The hood of Pop's cloak comes down to reveal that Pops is still his same balloony self. Pops floats off into the next room. The party enters the next room, which is another staircase that leads down into an underground dock. 3 boats are on the water. The party enters the boats and begins to float downstream. If you had accepted Kaneko's offer at the beginning of the chapter, you'd notice her hugging onto Rowan tightly.